Okay, I'm going to make an attempt here to show you how to do this color wheel in Photoshop. I've got a much better way of doing it than I used to. So I'm going to open up Photoshop here first really quick. Um, my old instructions were not quite so clear about how to find the center of the document, but I've got much better ways of doing that now. So we'll do File and New, and we're going to open up a new document in inches, and we're going to set it to 6 by 6, and I'm going to open it as 150 dpi and create that. Okay, so the first and easiest way to find the center of your document is to uh, do View and do a new guide layout. Now, I had this already set up previously. When yours comes up, it may be different than this. You may have gutters and all of that other stuff, but I've already done this once. So what you want to do when you first set this up, and whatever comes up in these columns and rows, you want to make sure that it's 2 and 2. Everything else is shut off. Okay? So now you've got a white background with your crosshairs for the center of the document located directly in the middle. Okay, now the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unlock that background. And we're just going to go ahead and name that background. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use our gradient. And it hides underneath the paint bucket very often over here. So we open the gradient tool. And again, mine's already set up here. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have yours set to this one here, which is the spectrum, not the rainbow, because the rainbow has transparent ends on it, so it won't give you a complete rainbow around from red to red. So you want to make sure that you're using the spectrum. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is you want to make sure up here that you're using this little guy here, third one over, which is the setting for doing a spiral out from the middle. And then if you hold and click all the way up, it will ignore you. Now, I forgot to have to open another layer above that in order to get it to give you something to do. There we go. And you get this beautiful rainbow. You will notice, however, that it is backwards from the way that we've been doing ours, where it has the purples on the right-hand side and the greens and yellows on the left. So in order to make it consistent with what we're doing, I've taken that layer and I went to Edit and I went to Transform and Flip Horizontal. Now it's oriented the way that we're used to looking at it. Now the other thing that I want you to do is to take that background layer, that white background layer, and duplicate it and put it over the top, which will probably frighten you because everything went away. Okay, now the other thing that I want to do is I want to change my foreground color to black. And for those of you who've been paying attention to the hexadecimal information in the WebSafe colors, that would be 6 zeros. And the reason for that is I'm going to be using my shape tool now, and I'm going to make a round or elliptical shape. And I'm going to click directly in the center, although it doesn't matter because it opens this dialog box. And the dialog box will allow you to create a perfect circle. And I want to create one that's 5 inches by 5 inches. Everything right now is set in pixels, but if you go ahead and you punch in inches into those windows up there, so 5 inches and 5 inches, and say OK, you get this beautiful black circle in the middle of everything. And what I want to do with that is I want to create and use that as a mask. I can go ahead and shut that off now because I don't want to create another one. And the other thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to do a right click onto that and rasterize that layer, because otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything with it. And we're only going to be using it for a mask, and then we're going to throw it away. So I'm going to grab that really quick, And I'm going to shut it off now because all I wanted to do was to get the marching ants for it. And the reason for that is because I want to be on this layer now. So the marching ants are going to be doing something to this layer, and I'm going to delete that thing from the center. So that gives you an idea of how I want you to go about setting up the color wheel to begin with. Now we have to create an inner disk. So in order to do that, I'm going to get rid of this guy. And I'm going to change my color over here, my foreground color, back to white. Again, if you were paying attention to the hexadecimal information, that is 6Fs. That gives you pure white. And this time we're going to do a circle again right here. And this time we're going to make that 3 inches by 3 inches. Got to make sure you get all the pixel information out of the way. And say OK. And there you have it. Oop, cancel. And get rid of that. All right, so now we have a white background, and we have the color wheel itself, and we have a white foreground disk, the opening here, and then we have this little white disk here. So we should probably go about labeling these things. I'm going to call this the color wheel itself. I'm going to call this the foreground, because that's what it is now. And I'm going to call this one the center disk. And the other thing I'm going to do to that is I'm going to rasterize it. And the reason is that everything going forward from here on out is going to be based off of this color wheel. The next exercise in number 10, you'll be using this same file. So hold on to this. Turn this in, however, but hold on to a copy of it because you're going to need it again. This gets you to the end. I'm going to do this again tomorrow in class to show everybody. But I thought maybe I'd better have a version of this as a backup in the instructions. That's a better version of the version that's up there now. So I'm going to get rid of the old one and put this one up. Okay? Anyway, all for now. See you guys in the next video.